Welcome to Timeout, a podcast that brings creatives together for helpful and insightful discussions. So sit back and enjoy the show.
What's up, Alex? Welcome back to the
Yo,
show.
man, it's nice
How's
to
it
be
been?
here. How are you? Oh, I'm
Well,
good, man. It's suffering in the heat right now,
I
that's
was
for
just about
sure.
to say I'm a lot warmer and melting. It's 31 degrees right now. But the last time we spoke, it was in winter. I think either January, December. I think it might have been January.
Damn, time
And it
flies.
is July now, so
It's
almost half a
summer.
year. Almost
It's
half a
summer.
year. What can you do in half a year, Alex? That's the question I'm going to ask you today.
Survive through a pandemic and
Oh,
take a load of pictures.
okay. Since the last time we caught up, you did all of that. You survived a pandemic. You've taken a lot of pictures. You're doing a lot of videos, and there's just a lot more for us to unpack. So I thought today would be a great day to just bring you on and see where you've been. So for our new followers, because you've got new followers now, and so have I.
Oh yeah, I
Who?
see you popping, bro. I see
Oh,
you popping on the gram.
so it's all about you today. So why don't you tell those followers who are you and what do you do?
My name is Alex Piper, and I'm a photographer from London. I shoot a lot of fashion stuff, shoot a lot of music stuff, shoot a lot of celebrities. Just an all-round shooter. Studio, street style, concert, all kinds of stuff.
That is one hell of a place to be. I mean, you never bored, I'd say. You're always delving into new territory, aren't you?
Never in a box. Just trying to take every opportunity that comes up if it fits, fits the vision. But yeah, it's always different stuff coming up. You know,
What is the
that's the
vision?
thing with being freelance.
What is the vision for you, Alex? Like, what's changed
Oh,
since the last 6 months? For people who missed out on the first podcast, we talked a lot about how to be more productive as a freelancer, realistic expectations in the industry, what it took for Alex to get to where he was, in January, and what do you think's changed about you since then to who you are now?
well, I don't think anything's massively changed because I'm always kind of looking at what I'm doing and evaluating what I'm doing. And I don't mean that in a corny way, but I'm always thinking like, right, when is it time to switch it up? When's it time to just stop what I'm doing? And right now, I'm just trying to go for that high end feel, trying to get rid of a lot of the street style stuff and the street style stuff I am doing. It's trying to start making it feel a lot more editorial, a lot more premium and starting to shoot a lot of music stuff again. But yeah, just kind of focusing my energy on making sure everything just feels a lot more proper, working with more teams, bringing some assistants along to shoots,
That's
but
good
just
to
trying to start
hear.
reaching that higher up pinnacle really than what I was 6 months ago,
Yeah, and I mean, we looked at a lot of this content like 6 months ago, and considering your high premium feel and getting out of just that street style box that you're talking about and going into like editorial, music, live events, all this kind of stuff, it's a lot to take on for a freelancer. So how would you then break down your process? Is it still the same? Has things changed, or are you crafting a new style into Alex Piper's like videos, into your photography, or are things relatively still very similar on how you take a shot, how you create a video?
I think the process and the way I do things is still kind of similar. It's just been a lot more streamlined and trying to be a lot more specific with what I'm doing, but also I'm trying to make sure the editing is a little bit more refined, making sure the editing is a little bit more clean, a little bit more simple, not quite as edit heavy, and trying to just do things in person and on set a lot better now. Um, but yeah, I'd say it's pretty similar. Um, just trying to refine things more and more and more. And at the time, I was trying to learn how to do retouching, and retouch is still something I'm doing, but I also hire retouchers now.
Starting playing with a lot of
Um,
film, I can see as well.
yeah, started shooting film a lot. That was actually the first set of film pictures I posted. I was really scared to start posting
Yeah.
film.
No, it stuck out
Um,
to me on the feed just because it was something different, and I was like, "Oh, Alex is playing with film. That's
yeah,
nice."
people really liked it, and it's only like £100 35mm camera, with like £100 lens. It's nothing. It's not like a fancy medium format camera, and they came out great. Leo's a great model,
Oh yeah,
but
looks great in front of the camera.
oh yeah, he's like
Like you
top
just pulled him
top
out
tier
of
model. But
pulled him out of like a vintage decade somewhere.
Oh, that's his vibe. You know, Leo's kind of known for that. Leo's like
Yeah, I like it.
Leo's
It's
like
different.
trendsetter.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I mean,
compared to your digital shots, I mean, I can still say that like when I see your digital stuff, especially when it comes to like the fashion and the street style, you've got something there that reminds me of that work. But when you're doing like more commercial work, it's like you can see the range in your abilities to still create that premium looking feel.
yeah, that's something I'm trying to shoot more stuff like that than you know, meeting as many models and as I used to, you know, and the models that I am shooting with, you know, it's not kind of any model that emails me or sends me a message. You know, I'm really picky about who I cast to do kind of those street style or those test shoots.
You become very selective in
Sure
who you work with.
Yeah, like very selective, you know, because there was models hitting me up all the time, and you know, I'd normally say yes, I'd be interested. Whereas now it's kind of like I've got a lot of client work going on, so if I'm going to do kind of collaborations, they've got to be really right for me and exactly what I want to do.
Got to be valuable to your time, and you know, that's the big currency that I always say is the most valuable to me anyway. Like time is like for me the only real currency in how you spend it.
Time is the most important thing. But with that being said, you know, I'm working as much. I've also been trying to find a little bit more work life balance.
How's that been
because
since
I realized,
we spoke 6 months ago?
Man, like at the 6 months ago, I was just shoot, and I'm still like that. But I would literally like shoot, go home, edit, and then I wouldn't really do anything else. You know, for the last 2 years of my life, it's been all about photography, all about video, and it still is. But I wasn't making time for anything else, and I realized that that's not, you know, sustainable. And there's a moment where I didn't feel as inspired, and I just started hanging out with friends again, started doing stuff in real life again, started getting that like life experience.
Started doing normal things.
Kind of, yeah, to a degree, and it kind of brought me back into a good place and feeling inspired again, and having a good balance in life is really important, I think.
I think we talked about this last time that, you know, for everyone has individual goals, and, you know, some people might have all that energy to go 100 miles per hour, but, you know, it's important to remember that you also need a bit of downtime to reinvent yourself, find your anchor, and then, you know, come back to where you need it to be.
Yeah, I think that's important. But even at the same time, you know, you can go 100 miles per hour if you know, if you've got the right fuel.
If you've got the right structure, infrastructure, yeah.
I think it's, you know, what you're doing with that 100 miles per hour that you're doing, and if you're getting, you know, if you're getting the right feelings back from it, because you might go 100 miles per hour doing something. If it doesn't fulfill you, then it's going to be really, really difficult to keep going at that rate.
And the last thing you want to do is, you know, waste time. And, you know, that's something you can just never get back. And we spoke to that at great length in the industry.
Yeah,
and,
definitely,
you know, on the last
spoke
podcast,
about time. Time's valuable, you know.
How not to get taken advantage of, and to really, like, you know, set an infrastructure where you can really utilize your time. Because we talked a lot about things like, you know, college, uni, etc., and, you know, how you can create your own kind of, you know, infrastructure to keep yourself very proactive. And I can see you've been doing that nonstop for 6 months, and I'm not surprised. And, you know, I think one of the reasons I wanted you on the show was because you continue to prove how, with just sheer hard work, perseverance, I'd say a little bit of luck, like every freelancer gets, and you know, no, it's you've done what a lot of people at your age are not thinking about doing and don't know that they can do it, but they probably can if they really just figure out the right formula for themselves. And, you know,
I think you just have to have an actual vision. You know, I know what we said at the start. I said, you know, I'm always kind of looking at what I'm doing and evaluating it. When I say I'm evaluating, I'm not kind of glancing at what I'm doing and going, oh, I've done a bit of this, done a bit of that. Like, no, I'm looking at every single shoot, every single client, every single job, every single bit of all of the process. And I'm going, right, how can I make this better? Like, or if there's this point that I want to reach, let's say I want to shoot magazine cover. Well, how am I going to get there? Well, I'm not going to do that by continuing to shoot random models in the street and kind of doing like glossy edits on them. No, I'm going to do that by hiring studios, getting higher end models in, and shooting those kind of shots that the magazines that I want to shoot are looking for, so that one day, you know, I can find someone that suits the kind of cover, maybe like the right model, the right celebrity, and reach out to them, go, hey, would you like to collaborate, so that we can send this shot off to this person. You know, your publisher can send it off to be you know, kind of in a trade release and see if we can pick it up. But that's not going to work if your work isn't kind of suitable for it, you know.
Yeah, you need
That's
to
why you just got to
reflect
keep
what
reflecting.
the kind of people you want to work with. And I think, you know, we talked about like how Instagram is so important for that. You know, it's like your little gallery of portfolio now, like your first stop before you get to your actual portfolio. It's like your first impressions, isn't it? People want to see what your flavor is. And if you want to be an all-rounder, like I think your page demonstrates that you're very capable of your range and what the stuff you want to do. You know, since then you've had a lot more opportunities to start expanding your projects and with everything opening back up, you know, I see that obviously the shoots have still been going on. You've been working with a lot of amazing people, but now you're also been able to travel and, you know, do festivals. So how was
Yeah,
that? What was that
insane.
like? What was that
Oh,
like?
dude, it was so surreal. You know, it was in Serbia. It was Exit Festival with a DJ called Jonas Blue, and it was the biggest music event since the pandemic happened. So in 2 years, the first show, and over the course of about 3 or 4 days, over 180,000 people went to this festival.
Oh, wow.
Must
That's
have been like
madness.
50,000 people in the crowd or something like that, and just being on that stage behind time,
Mm-hmm.
it was just surreal, dude. Seeing everyone maskless, packed together, dancing, feeling free. It was just an insane atmosphere. Even just the feeling of getting on a plane and flying somewhere to a random city in a random country
Yeah, of course. I bet.
to do something nuts
Mm-hmm.
just felt surreal. And I've been in quarantine for the last 4 days,
Oh,
and
fun times, eh?
and it's just, you know, after doing something nuts like that, you know, after 4 days, you know, I'm kind of unwinding, the adrenaline
You're having your
is
calm down, are you?
kind of relaxed now, thinking about it, really inspired state where I'm just like, anything is possible. Like 2 years ago, I think, literally like the other day, I was on Snapchat, um, and a memory popped up when I was on stage with Robbie Williams, and I'd snuck on stage at this festival 2 years ago,
That's
and it
it.
was British Summertime Festival, with Robbie Williams performing, and he was just there in this glimmering jacket and this microphone and this stick and singing to the crowd, and I had like a pass for a smaller artist at a smaller stage, and as a joke, I kind of walked up to the security guard at the main stage. I walked on, and I was like, "Oh, and he didn't really realize I didn't have the right pass, so he let me on. I walked on stage. I had my
Wow.
big ass like 300mm lens on like my 100-pound camera,
Oh
and
my
I get
God.
these pictures, and they weren't great pictures, but for the last like 2 years, they've been my favorite pictures. But that was the moment where I was like, "Damn, I can't wait to shoot a show like that for real. Like, be the photographer that's allowed on stage to shoot an artist that big." And I
Yeah.
finally did it. I finally did it after 2 years of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and 2 years since that day. You know, I finally got to go to Serbia to shoot Exit Festival. It's phenomenal, dude. Like, it was
I
just
mean,
insane.
it's so mad
But
because like when I saw
it
these
was intense.
shots, yeah, I can feel the intensity. Like in just the shots alone, they're so amazing, by the way. Like
Thank you,
literally
man.
shooting nighttime as well is like so mental. And but obviously, you know, you've got that stage, the lights, and it just makes everything just look so much more like tense,
Oh, it's
doesn't it? Like,
cinematic. It's so
yeah.
cinematic.
It literally does look
But
like some crazy like spectacle. And that's probably just because I've
it
not been
was,
to a
dude.
festival in so long. Like I feel like normal things to me are just
But
standing out
even
even
a lot of
more.
festivals aren't like that.
Yeah, not your average festival. No, like
I think with a
definitely
lot
not
of
many like
festivals,
that.
the no, but like in terms of the artists, you know, what I didn't realize going into this is, you know, Jonas Blue is a really big DJ, and with DJs, the show is more than just about like it's all about the music, of course, but with other artists like the Justin Bieber or the Camila Cabello, for example, they're
Yeah.
singing, they're performing, they're dancing. There's different things going on, you know. There's stage like antics, and the DJ's just in the booth mixing and doing his
It's
thing.
so insane to see
So
how DJs have the
it's
same
all
caliber
about
now, don't they?
it's all about the stage effects. It's all about the
Yeah.
production. It's all about the line. There's massive crews on these shows, man. Massive crews on these
Oh
shows,
yeah. It looks
and to shoot
insane.
a show like this, you got to be so organized. And going into this, I felt like I was under a little bit of pressure.
How did you
Um,
know where to be? Like how did
that's what
you
I'm
because
gonna get into that, bro.
yeah, because obviously at the end it says you directed it, so obviously I'm guessing you the day before or during the planning or before, like, did you get a floor plan? Did you know where you're gonna be, or were you just kind of like going with the flow?
Well, I got I kind of got like a rough track list, kind of the songs that he was going to play, so I kind of knew how long some of the were going to be and stuff, and I kind of just worked out how long the set exactly was and which songs I should look out for, and then you get given a track list that kind of puts down the order of the songs, and it doesn't always stick to that, but for the most part I think it does. I'm pretty new to big shows like this. But they had the media and they had what effects were going to happen, and I kind of coordinated to the director of the show or the production team, and he told me, he put marks on the set list for me of which the biggest beat drops were going to be, so I could kind of think about, right, where in the festival do I need to be, because it's a big ass festival and it's not going to be like a 30-second walk to get from there behind him to the back of the festival. It's impossible.
Absolutely, yeah. You don't want to be going on the fly with stuff like that.
You can't be doing it on the fly because it's all about the production. As a photographer, visually, it's all about the production. You have to capture those moments.
Just you doing it?
Miss those. It was just me on my own, photo and video at the same time.
How did you get to those top at the back where the audience is? Were there platforms for you to stand on and do all those kind of like floating shots?
So a lot of the footage, the wide shots from the side, they're all mine. But the very like high kind of drone looking shots, I coordinated with the live stream team.
Oh, so they've already got camera setups, don't they? Right.
They're filming at live stream, TV cameras, on cranes, on drones.
Yeah, it would be. It's just extra stuff, isn't it?
The crane shots, and so I mixed in those crane shots because, when
like this one, I was like, you look like you're floating, Alex. It's like, you're not telling me.
Yeah, those like those mega high up wide shots are the crane shots. I think there's about 3 of those. Like that one.
Still, that's crazy. Like, because obviously, again, like it just baffles me, like how much you have to think about from getting to one end to another, and that's like how many people? That's a lot of people, that in that.
There's a lot of people, and you've got to get through them, and
it might not damage your equipment and not get drinks thrown all over you. And...
Dude, I shot the whole thing handheld. And on a
I don't think there's any other way to, is there? Like without in such a tight space. There's not.
Like unless you're doing dedicated video, you can't shoot it on a gimbal. You can't put an ND filter or take the ND filter off, or put it onto a monopod and then put it on a gimbal. Like you just can't. There's no way to. You've got to shoot a handheld. And I was nervous because I was kind of like, well, I don't want to miss any of these beat drops. I don't want to miss the fireworks. I don't want to miss this. I don't want to miss that. And you're always going to get one or the other, unfortunately, because there was a couple of beat drops with like the confetti that I wish I'd captured a wide shot of. And there's the fireworks that I wish I'd gotten a picture from behind, but I got video instead, and then I got a wide shot from the front.
Would you say that's one of the pros and cons, I guess, of just being a one-man band? You won't be able to capture every single timing at the same time, but what you did capture,
you've got to pick and choose.
I think what you did capture is more than enough, to be honest.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Ecstatic, but the thing is, dude, like I'm very I think it's a bit of a cliche, but I'm very perfectionist. I'll look at these shots and I'll be like, wow, these are great. But that shot at the end, I wish I got it from behind. I wish I got it from behind. But that shot that was from the start of the festival, and I literally ran from the stage to the back of the festival.
I can just imagine you running.
Dude. I spoke to Jonas and I was like, listen, dude. So, do you want me to get the first shot of you like backstage, like going onto the stage, saying hello, cheering, and then filming the first beat drop from behind? Do you want me to film it and capture that moment? And he was like, no, bro, this drop is going to be so insane. You've got to get a picture from front of house. So I went to the back of the festival, went onto the tower, got the wide shot, all the fireworks, and it's just insane. But you see in the video, because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get him going onto the stage, I was like, right, well, I'm really thinking about the edit. I'm like, well, how am I going to connect him walking around the stage and onto the stage to him then being like them performing? So I just gave him a fist bump. I said, good luck, man. He said, oh, it's going to be crazy, whatever he said. And then boom, that's the transition. But I had that lead in. And then as soon as I gave him that fist bump, I ran, I legged it, so that when he started performing, I was ready, I had my lenses on, and I was ready to look at the set list, and I timed the whole show, dude. The whole set, I had a timer, and I had written down the
At what
timings of
time?
each of the
Yeah.
beat drops as like 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in, 40 minutes in, and in the changeover between him and the artist that was on before him, I timed how long it would take me to run from front of house to stage,
Oh,
from the
wow.
back of the festival to the stage. So I
Doing
knew
some
roughly.
quick maths, are you?
I knew roughly how long it would take me. So if it was 22 minutes in and I'd lost track of time, and there was going to be a beat drop at 25 minutes in, I was like, I can probably make that.
Yeah.
I can
Well,
probably make that if I have this, if I have the set sorted. But
mhm.
then it might be too tight. So I would be better off just staying there and getting a
Yeah.
wide shot instead. But then I definitely know that in 2 beat drops later, I should definitely get another. I should definitely be on stage. And also knowing that he has a new single out and that I should be on stage for this exact song, so that I would have like a longer take of the new single for them to promote it. And just being aware of the set and being aware of how long everything would take, because it's so easy to get distracted and to kind of get
Well,
overwhelmed by the whole atmosphere.
I was just about to say that, considering you're thinking about all these calculations in your head, and for people who are listening, like, my God, like, I don't think you realize the distractions and how overwhelming you could be in that space. The amount of accidents that could happen. You could trip, someone could elbow you, water, drinks could come onto your camera.
Oh, dude, I wasn't even thinking about
Your
that,
your
bro. I was thinking
battery
of
your
the
battery might run out, and like, have you got enough there? Like,
That's the thing. I thought
there's
about that stuff. I had 2 utility belts strapped around.
Mhm.
I had one with my lenses and I had one with my SD cards and my battery,
Yeah,
so that I didn't have to run around with a camera bag. And I had my lenses on the
yeah,
stage, and I
yeah.
would be able to carry around one lens in my pocket, and then
Mm-hmm.
one lens would be on the camera. But then I'd always have my batteries and my SD cards, so I would be able
Mm-hmm.
to do things on the fly, and so that I wouldn't lose stuff.
I think anyone who wants to get into this kind of field needs to understand, like, how much preparation you have to do for all kinds of problems, and to be able to like solve the main problem, then think about all the other ones that can happen, then just stay calm and find the right shots. It's ridiculous,
Yeah,
like,
you gotta be
like the amount of,
composed.
and considering this, you said this was like your first main one that you've done.
Yeah, first
I
big
think you did
show.
a great job, man. Like, and
After like
considering,
no
yeah,
years going on,
I
going
think you
straight
did.
into it.
I think you did such a good job, considering this is your first like main one that you're doing, and post pandemic, like, it's just insane. Like, what you've been able to pull off in such a. Is it, how long is the whole set? About an hour and a half.
Hour and a half, and then and dude, like we're traveling in the morning, and then the set's not until like
Oh,
12 in the
yeah.
midnight.
You could be sleep deprived. You could be hungry. You could be thirsty. Have you got
Dude,
time to even think
it's
about those
it's
things?
it's rough as well. Like a lot of people think it's really luxurious going on tour and traveling and stuff. And not that I've been on these big tours. I've been on
Mm-hmm.
one really small tour in the UK, but like we left the hotel at 7 a.m. in the
You could
morning.
be very jet lagged. You could be very deprived. Like, of
Yeah,
like
dude, but
sleep,
you've got
food.
to just, and I'm editing the whole time, like the whole journey. And on the plane back, I'm editing, I'm working, and you got to
Because
think
you've
that
got
I
to have a
I turn these
turnover
pictures
time.
around. Yeah, exactly, man. I turn these pictures around in 24 hours, and I turn the video around in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah,
Because the turnaround times are tight, and also like I want to get it out, I want to do it, and I think just for the principle of like this is the caliber. Like if for example like David Guetta's on after him, if his photographer has already turned the pictures around, or David Guetta started posting the pictures, or something like that, like I
you got to
don't
stay up with the
I
standards
want to
of.
keep up with the
Yeah.
standards of whoever is there. Like if like I see Jonas as one of the big DJs. He's massive, man. He's so I definitely want to uphold that standard that he's had from other creators that have worked with him. And I think definitely took some cool pictures, and I know he's happy with the pictures, for sure. But
Hey,
it's only
honestly,
going to get better,
I always see you like, and him, like, giving love to each other all the time, man. I think that's just a statement
It's the
of like
gram, bro. But
of
like,
his of how much
he's
like he
great, man.
respects you.
He's
So
awesome. I met Jonas by I literally sent him a DM.
is that oh
I
wow,
literally sent
literally, is
him a
that how
DM.
easy it was? I always tell people you'll never get almost anywhere with just a DM. You have to like find other ways of
Oh,
and you're
dude,
saying you got
I got Gully Galileo and Gucci from a DM. I DM'd Jonas Blue. I DM'd Corey of Too Hot to Handle. I DM'd like Swarms. DM'd like email is always really good. But bro, I honestly, the amount of people that I've DM'd, and I just know the kind of formula of. There's some people that you can't DM, but there's some people that you definitely can DM. You know, because they're looking, or their management, or their social media manager is looking, and you just don't know if they're going to
what's
need
the
you
right
at the
line?
time.
What's the first piece of string text that should enter someone's
Well,
DM when you
I keep readjusting my AirPod, but I've got like weird ears.
Yeah, it's okay.
I always kind of look at someone's page and I go, right, what do they not have? What don't they have? Or what do you do, or what can I really offer them? You know, like for example, with Jonas, I said, you know, I'd love to do a shoot with you, you know, a fresh shoot, like an autumn shoot. Let me know if you'd be interested. And at the time, you know, they
He
were
was
gearing
looking
up
for somebody as well, wasn't he?
they were looking for someone, or they were, you know, just gearing up their socials and getting content, and it was just the perfect time. So they were like, yeah, let's do it. And eventually it happened, and we did a really cool shoot with his G-Wagon in the snow, in the street, and shot some really, really like iconic pictures. If I say so myself, you know. But yeah, we've just been continuing that relationship, and he loves the tones, loves the grade, and we're just maintaining a good relationship. And yeah, I'm just so happy that the first show went well, and you know, I think the photos are only going to get better, you know.
Oh, this is the one you're talking about.
Yeah, like he's walking in the middle of the street with snow around
check
him,
that out.
like fairy jacket.
That reminds me a lot of your styles of shots, like, you know, where you've actually done like your thing on it.
Yeah, like done my thing, but then also kind of they're like unique. Do you know what I mean? Like we've actually gone out of our way to put the car in the street on a snowy day, and he's
Yeah,
like styled
absolutely.
himself properly, you know.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. It's really, really nice. It sounds insane, like, and you've done all that in the span of 6 months, right?
Oh yeah, dude. Like yeah, man. But there's
And
loads of other stuff going on.
well, let's get into it. I mean, you know, first of all, Alex, just remind me how old you are again, just so people can get an
Oh
idea.
man, I'm 19, dude.
Okay.
I won't be 19 for too long. I got a few more months until I'm no longer a teenager. But there's been a few bucket lists, a few things on the bucket list that I wanted to tick off before I did turn 20. So
Right.
before I turn 20, there's going to be some big shit coming out, dude.
I feel like
Because if
you're
you think about it,
manifesting what you're doing, yeah.
Every time I post, it's like 3 months old. Unless
Right.
it's an event or something, it's like 2 or 3 months old now.
So something that you weren't able to post until it was like allowed to be able to.
Yeah, because now there's the whole process of, you know, we do the shoot, they pick the selects, I edit the selects, I get feedback on them, and then I send them off to get retouched. And then, well, you know, sometimes, and then, you know, they come back and then they get put into an advertising plan or a marketing plan, or they just get put in a social bank because they've got loads of other stuff to post. And then when it's finally the right time, they bring them out, you know, whether it's because they've got a song or it's to promote something, or just because they're stocking up content. You know, everything kind of takes a lot longer now. But that's just the way it is. And there's always going to be content to post, because it's just in that cycle, you know.
So how are you adapting to like this sort of like random, I wouldn't even say you know what the structure is all the time. It's not like your typical 9 to 5 job, like where you know what's coming tomorrow. Or it's not even like, you know, certain other kinds of niche photographies. Like what you've told me, like all the brilliant pros of like your new adventure into kind of like music, live events. What do you think have been some of the struggles like these past 6 months in learning to adapt to it all?
Man, like 6 months ago, I was feeling really overwhelmed, dude. I was really worried about my future. I was really worried about what's going on. I was really worried about kind of the unknown. And I think being a freelancer, that's a big struggle. You know, you're always worried about what's next, or doing something more than you did last time. But I kind of just have started to accept that there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be highs and lows. And, you know, just because you haven't done something bigger than you did before in a little while doesn't mean that it's not going well. You're just building back up to it.
That's a
And I
great way of
think it's
putting
just
it.
important to acknowledge that, you know, it's not always smooth sailing. There's going to be slow months, it's going to be busy months, it's going to be unbelievable highs, You know,
Yeah.
like it might be a while until I have another massive event like Serbia. You know, I do have a couple of things coming up, but like,
Yeah, but it's not going to be
you
like
know,
every single
of that
like
build up of like
constant.
the first
Yeah.
show in 2 years. It's the biggest like
Mm-hmm.
event in Europe or something. You know, like
Yeah.
those kind of massive moments happen every now and then. But because I kind of understand that now, it kind of makes me a lot more grateful when those things happen. You know, and just trying to, you know, just remember that at the end of the day, you know, I'm not stuck in like a job that I hate, doing some repetitive shit and like bored in an office, or you know, doing something I don't enjoy. You know, at least I'm doing something I'm enjoying. I'm making money, and I'm doing stuff that fulfills me. You know, and it's only getting better and better.
Absolutely. And I think part of it is just coming to terms with the expectations and realizing that there's a lot of compromises you have to make from leaving that 9 to 5 job, but there's so much rewards you can get. And like we've just seen a lot of it, you know, on your feed, that if you do dedicate enough time, enough, you know, and we talked about this on the last podcast, some of the, we called it side questing, didn't we? Like there's a lot of side questing you have to
Oh
do
yeah,
before you get to the main quest, right? And that is absolutely
that's
normal.
true.
And, you know, I think for a lot of young or even new aspiring photographers who want to get into the music scene, you know, be prepared to do a lot of side questing, because look where it can get you with an example like you.
Yeah, I mean,
That
I didn't really do anything in music for a little while. I kind of stepped away from music for quite a while now, and I'm only just starting to get back in. You know, I've shot musicians, but I kind of wasn't doing behind the scenes of music videos or kind of shooting acoustics or doing this. Like I kind of stepped away from music for a little bit to focus on fashion. But now the world's back opening back up, and I've realized that I just want to shoot big shows again and starting to direct some music videos,
let's
and
have
doing
a
some
look
more
at
press
that.
stuff and working with artists again. So I definitely kind of rediscovering my love for the music industry now and getting back into it, as well as the editorial kind of fashion side. But you know, I'm kind of stepping back into the music side.
So you feel like you've done a lot of side questing, got your kind of network, your infrastructure there, you've built a lot of the skills, and now you're kind of really harnessing it into one new direction that you really want to go into, which is a lot, like I said, a lot of it's music based, isn't it? So is this the
Yeah, I mean,
music
I'm trying to.
video you've directed?
Yeah, I worked with a guy called Neil Panchel on it, who's a designer at BMG, and me and him worked on the last music video that I directed for Idris. I don't know if we talked about that one on the last podcast, but I directed a different music video
Possibly.
for Idris, this called Gospel 21, and that was all about coming into the new year, and it was kind of this avant-garde black and white, really deep music video, and this is a lot more jumpy, a lot more fun, and
Yeah, I love the
yeah.
kinetic typography on it, man. I think the thing that really stands out to me on this one is just the way you've used all the edits, and you know, like the simple space of just using that person in that one space, but then how you've brought so much layers to it with like all the inserts, all the
Oh,
typography.
dude. I did the whole kind of production for it, all of the filming, you know, the DOP kind of style. And then Neil worked on the typography and the design and the kind of layout. And then there was another editor called Rowan Weil who worked on the motion and the edit. You know, so it was
That's so
definitely a team
insane.
edit. And then you know, there's the whole makeup artist and stylist, and you know, shout
So to
out
go
Jess
back to what you were
Brune and
saying, you've kind of
shout out
working more
Cheryl.
into teams aren't now, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely working with more crews now and trying to work with more teams. You know, it's less so, you know, giving myself all the credit now, and working
And
with more people.
also,
You know,
you know, all this strain and stress of just trying to be like a one man band who's doing absolutely everything, which is just impossible to do. You know what I mean?
it's if you wanna achieve a high end feel, you know, that's not the right way to go about it. You know, you can do it sometimes, but if you want to create something that's polished and proper, and do it properly, um, you know, don't be scared to reach out to other people and get other people involved. You know, if the client allows for it or if they're happy for that. And don't be, you know, don't feel like you have to do everything yourself once time and space allows for it. You know, I know for a lot of people they have to, but for me now, you know, I feel like going back to retouching, for example,
Mm.
just as an example, you know,
Very time consuming as well.
I was trying to retouch. It's very time consuming, and I was trying to achieve this really specific look that I wanted my pictures to have. And I don't retouch every picture at all.
Right.
only some that I want us to have a specific look. But I was just like, well, if I can't do it, and I'm gonna have to keep practicing, I'm not gonna get it for like another like X amount of time, So I gotta find someone that can sort that out. And so I did. I found someone that someone else was using. I used them for a little bit, and I like to create long-term relationships. And there's a couple of different people I use whenever I need it, because it's just time consuming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, it goes back to the last chat we had. It's about being as productive as possible, because it's not my calling to do retouching. I absolutely just find it so time consuming that it reminds me of like the 9 to 5 grind that I used to do like in a previous job. But some people absolutely love retouching and they're absolutely built for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
And
think
it's such
it's an
a
interesting one.
yeah. And again, I would rather outsource it, and that's what I do. I just ping it as an option if they need it to someone else who's just far more capable and better, and faster as well. Like the whole like team
Yeah, it's all
capability
about
of
efficiency. It's all about
yeah. It's
efficiency.
like I like outsourcing a stylist to someone else because it takes the stress off me. And in case those clothes like don't appear on time, what to do with it, returning it, all that kind of stuff. It's better to have like someone else who has like a really nice
Yeah, it
eye for
adds
that
up,
kind
and
of stuff.
yeah, that stuff always does add up, and it does help. But even just the people that I'm shooting now, I'll be surprised a lot of the time if they don't rock up with a stylist, unless it's like a model and we're doing a test shoot, or I'm shooting them for an agency or something. We're just having fun.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't rock up and there's like a stylist, I'll be like quite surprised, just because of the type of people that I'm working with.
Yeah, you'd expect with the caliber of people you're working, there would be already an infrastructure there, wouldn't there?
Yeah, there's because a lot of the time, with the clients that I'm working with, it's not me that's organizing everything. And even clients now, I constantly get emails from like startup clothing brands, and they just want me to sort out everything. They want me to find models, they want me to find
Yeah,
makeup, and I tell them, I
and
was just like, I'm not the photographer for
basically
you.
making you do a lot of
I
the
ex-
admin work. Yeah.
I expect to rock up, do some of the creative direction, maybe have the plan, have the mood board, and that kind of stuff. But I don't have to. I don't expect to have to sort all the other stuff out. I'm the photographer.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Yeah.
if you want to sort all that stuff out, are you going to hire a producer? Because I've worked on sets now with executive producers and creative directors where I've rock up and I take the pictures and I leave.
Yeah, and again,
And then
you're spending most of your
sometimes,
time
a
being
lot of the
productive in what
time,
you
I
can
will
do.
edit them. Yeah, and I just, that's the other thing recently. Kind of saying no a lot more, and not feeling like I have to do everything that comes up, just to kind of protect the standard that I want to work at and the people that I want to work at. There's a lot of people that hit me up still for those street style kind of shorts, like upcoming clothing brands. I really don't work with a lot of them anymore, just because it doesn't fit the direction that I'm going in. I had a client, well, he's not a client, but someone reached out the other day. He was like, "Oh, I want to take pictures on like the subway and all this stuff." And I said, "Listen, man, I'm not the guy for you. This is what I can do with you. But if that doesn't fit your vibe, I'll help you find another photographer. But
Yeah,
I'm
I
really trying to
think
make
I,
sure
I
that
think
the
that's
vision I
fair.
have
Yeah.
is secure."
I think that's fair, and being able to discuss it in the way you do is also fair. Like letting people down gently, but still maintaining that professionalism and just focusing on what you want to do as well. Like it's all part of the game. Like you don't want to be just always. Well, we did talk about it last time as well, like being taken advantage of, and some people will just not care about your self-worth like you see it. You know what I mean? And in that whole
Yeah, I
process of
think
trying to persuade one another.
yeah, I think it's not even about kind of self-worth. It's just understanding, what's your niche and who do you want to work with. And when you reach a certain point, being able to kind of pick and choose and not have to worry, because maybe 7 months ago I would have taken it even if I didn't want to do it, because I wanted the money or because I wanted content to post. I'm not worried about that at the moment, so I can kind of
Have the
decide
luxury of deciding what you want to
what
do.
I want to do. But with that luxury, you have to make sure that you're making the right decisions. And it just goes back to planning and kind of evaluating what you're doing and figuring out what direction do you actually want to go in, because it's not all about goals, but it's just about direction. A lot of people are shooting loads of stuff, but they don't have direction. They don't really know what the end goal is, like properly. They kind of have wishful thinking, like, I want to shoot a Vogue cover one day. Okay, cool. How are you going to shoot a Vogue cover? How are you going to even meet the right people at Vogue? to
Which
shoot a
events
Vogue
are you going to
cover?
go to get yourself in the right place, to talk to the right person, to give you the right opportunity to then shoot the
And then
Vogue
when you
cover?
do
Yeah.
have those conversations with them, do you
Mm.
have the right work to show them that they're going to be like, oh, this person can shoot a Vogue cover?
Well, I think this kind of goes into the next point I wanted to talk
Yeah.
to you about, which was what we were talking about before, which is soft skills, social skills, networking. Like, how important was that to you to get you to these places? And like, you know, I've been, man, honestly, like you can see the frustration already coming in my head. But like, you know, I always say that the one thing I feel like university has really missed out on, and maybe, you know, like, you know, you were telling me before, you're getting people asking you to talk at colleges now, you know, and things like that. I think, you know, a lot of people might be realizing that you do need to directly speak to like people working in the industry, regardless of like their age and all this kind of stuff, you know, who wherever they are, look at the work, look at the traits, look at the talent, bring them in, give them a realistic expectation. But like soft skills, social
So
skills,
important.
networking
So
skills.
social skills, and being able to be an authentic and genuine person that's able to connect with people on not just a kind of professional level but a personal level is so important. You know, a lot of photographers that I've met or a lot of clients that I've had always tell me about how they've always got a story about some weird photographer. There's always some weird photographer experience. There's so many photographers out there that are just like either really cagey or really awkward and shy,
By
or
which
they're
you mean like they
just
just find it
like,
difficult
to
to
be honest, like
communicate with
weird.
them
Yeah, and they don't get along well
socially.
because
Hmm.
photographers are, they're such a broad range of people. And when you're working with celebrities or artists or people with strong personalities, it's so important to be able to get along with them in a
And not
way
feel
where,
like
you
you're
know,
constantly starstruck that and you know
where
championing
you're
them
where
like
you're where
trophies
you're
and like
starstruck, or you're coming at them at an angle and they feel a little bit uncomfortable with you because they can tell you're kind of like,
abusing that
you don't
space
seem
really.
genuine and abusing the space. It's important to just try and be calm and be a good person. Because I've been in some rooms where I was just thinking in my head like, oh fuck, who was that just walked in? Oh my god, they're coming over here. They're gonna come chat to
Comes
me and
after, I
such and
bet
such.
it hits you
Oh,
like straight after, I bet, when you have like the little come down after like a big shoot, a big show, a big person, a big event, and you're like, oh
dude,
my god, I just did that, you know.
I've been in some surreal situations where I kind of walked off afterwards. Like, did I just meet that person? Did I just have a conversation with that person? And of course, I've had those weird moments where I've met people and I've been awkward and I've messed up, or I'm just kind of like, I can't believe I said that. But it kind of now it's kind of like I understand that everyone's just a person, and even if they can change my life, even if I can take a picture of them, knowing when and where is the right place, and knowing when is the right place to have a certain conversation, or knowing the boundary of, if you meet this person, don't just start asking them a load of questions about their life and their
And
wife or something
yeah,
just because you saw it in a tabloid. Just connecting with people like you've met them for the first time, and you
hmm.
just want to have a relationship with them, as well as taking cool pictures, because I know a lot of people that would rather take a average photographer that they got along with and could have around them all the time than having a really great photographer that was either a really bad person or was just like
Abusing the
weird,
space with like the
or
clout, the
or abusing,
fame,
or
the
yeah,
starstruck, you know,
you
and
know, because
gossiping and you know all
because you
those kind
won't.
of different things.
Yeah, exactly, man. You've got to be careful, but I just think it's so, like, soft skills is just so important, and just being a good person like that. That's literally it. Like, if you're a good person and you just want to create good work, and you trust that if they like you and they like the work, they'll keep you around. The opportunities will come up. That just relaxing and being composed
It's
is so
hard
important.
to also do that, and like I said, one of the reasons I like talking to you is because you have to mature very fast, you know, especially like, you know, you're a young person, you've got let's say like you love music and now you're working side by side one of your favorite musicians or artists or DJs and so on, right? Obviously you're going to get starstruck. It's like natural, impulse just builds up in you, and you've got all these urges to just like befriend them, socialize with them, want to go out with them, do all this kind of stuff. So
But they're meeting you for the first time and they're just thinking, right, it's another photographer.
it's another day on the
today.
set. It's another day on the set. Yeah. And that's the realistic expectations I hope people can take away from this chat, that in the music industry, you really need to mature fast, like you said, like in terms of when you do get to that place in time, there's a lot at risk, isn't it? There is a lot at risk, and if something is compromised because of your
even just being self-aware that if you have the right conversation with the right person, that it can just take you so far compared to if you met them and tried to kind of rush into, oh, like, look at my portfolio, I'm going to send you an email, well, like, my name's such and such, look at my work right now. Dude, that guy might be like texting his wife and like
I don't know what
through a divorce, and he's looking up and there's just this random kid that's like, let me take pictures for you.
I don't know what the word for that is. Would you call it entitlement? Would you call it, like whatever it is, the word? But
I think it's just a lack of kind of self-awareness or empathy, or kind of it's just social awareness of just because you want something really badly or you feel like you can give something doesn't mean that they're thinking about that or worried about that or aware of that or kind of worried about that. Even if you can take better pictures of someone than they've ever had on their Instagram feed, they might not care when they meet you that you can take great pictures.
Yeah, you got to come to terms with
might not
that
care
as well.
At all.
Sometimes, they might not even tag you. Sometimes you might not even get the credit. Sometimes you might not get... And there's all these other things, and it's like, you got to come to terms with all the realistic expectations of when you're working with those kinds of people that treat it like work, and it will blossom into something more fruitful later the more you respect it, right?
Yeah, you just have to respect it and let it grow with time. For example, like my relationship with Idris, for example, I met him 2 years ago, and we've just naturally kind of just let things happen, and more opportunities have happened, and I've crushed them, and he trusts me more and more, and because of that respect I have for his boundaries and for who he is, and just focusing on the work when it comes up, it just gets better and better. I think that's a good example of it.
Obviously, photographers don't really get a good name in the press with people like paparazzi, especially, and celebrities and paparazzis
I've met some
don't get along very well. So I don't blame people at that caliber to always have like their guards up, keep their cards close to their chest when a photographer's coming. You never know who it is. You never know what their intentions are going to be, and it's like you got to play the long game to really figure out each other's intentions. And if it's
always play the long game. Always play the long game, because short-term clout or short-term success isn't gonna fulfill you or stretch in value past that one moment. Because success
absolutely.
and everything is just so fleeting that if you want something to be really kind of worth something and to kind of have credit and have a large amount of value, that's something that builds up with time rather than just happening like at the snap of a finger and then that's that.
Mm-hmm.
It builds up. It's like, for example, I was talking to my friend the other day. He's called Christian, and he was like, "Oh, you've been like shooting these like tilt the handle stars," and this picture that I'd taken had about like 330,000 likes on it or something. And he was like, "How do you not have like more followers?" And I said, "Well, unless you're shooting someone all the time, or unless people see that you have an actual relationship and they're like posting their stories, or unless they've posted 8 pictures or they're posting a picture a month and tagging you and it's consistent, you're not really going to get exposure from that."
Plus on their page, how likely are they to then, how many people are likely to focus on the creatives rather than the person, because they followed that page for that person mainly, so naturally they're going to just be more interested in the,
like, for example, like I when I was shooting Sarkodie, Ghanaian rapper, he's got 4 million followers, every picture gets 100,000 likes. He must have posted about like 15 of my pictures and tagged me in the caption, and I think I gained 1,000 followers by working with him, 1,000 or 2,000 followers working with him, or a better example to really put into perspective is a photographer called Evan Patikaris, I think is that name. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. But he works with Roy Kramer, who's Justin Bieber's photographer. And
I do know who you're talking about, yeah. He's the one who looks like the surfer guy, like, looks like the surfer dude. Yeah, literally looks like he's never had a shower, but is awesome at his job.
No, he's awesome, dude. Like, Roy Kramer, I don't know him personally, But I've watched his interviews. I've kept up with his journey. He's a big inspiration to me. But
I've seen Justin Bieber tag him.
He brings this guy Evan around. I don't know Evan either. I'm talking as a fan. Technically.
Yeah.
But Justin Bieber must have posted about 15 photos, 20 photos, where it's literally only a camera and at Evan Patikaris in the caption. I'm probably butchering his name. Let me just look it up. I don't want to butcher his name. Patarakis. Yeah, I think that is right. And yeah, it is right. And he must have posted 20 of his pictures, and I think he's gained 15,000 followers, 20,000 followers. But that's about like 10 million likes on pictures, dude.
So you got to figure out the ratio realistically of what it takes to
where Justin Bieber's literally getting like 100,000 to 1 million photos per picture. He's posted 20 pictures, and he's getting 15K. That's probably going to go up. He might hit 100K because it's been only like 4 days.
Being a celebrity photographer is very difficult.
Compared to Justin Bieber having 181 million, I just want the kind of upcoming photographers to think about exposure and think about the ratios,
the realistic expectations
of the unrealistic expectation people have of working with celebrities and clout and all of that stuff. Unless you have a genuine working relationship with someone, the value will come a lot further down the line because people recognize that you're actually with this person and you're around them, and they feel more invested in you because they're like your photographer or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and again, like I said, I'm sure this person doesn't really care about the followers either. I'm sure he just loves what he's doing.
Not, dude. He's just living life, taking cool pictures.
I think
I bet he
again,
feels so fulfilled right now.
Yeah, I think that key word that keeps coming up, that you keep saying, fulfillment. That's a great way to put it.
Fulfillment is, I think no one should chase happiness, but everyone should chase fulfillment. I think fulfillment is so important, man.
Yeah, and people can
flee, and happiness is moments, but fulfillment is like an ongoing thing of like when you do something, if it makes you feel good, fulfills you, makes you feel like you're like living a purpose. That's something that you should just chase, rather than chasing like happiness, because I don't really know what happiness is, I know these are deep conversations, but
when is it never a deep? When is it never?
It leads back to passion and why we do these things,
I think you have to at some point think of it very, like you're saying, you got to think of it very philosophically at some point. Like fulfillment to some people could be security, fulfillment to others could be like a direction or like a goal or like a place they want to be. And as long as I think what I'm going to take away from this podcast is like just knowing what that fulfillment, you can work towards it, knowing how to work towards it is important. Like having the structure there and knowing where to go from point A to B, at least, in the short term, find ways to keep progressing better than you were yesterday, but don't, like you said, keep wishfully thinking that things are going to come to your doorstep, because they're not. And
you can manifest stuff, but if you're not working towards it, it's not going to happen. Like everyone wants things to happen. Every kid can wake up and write, I'm going to be a millionaire in a notebook 1,000 times a day, but he's not going to win the lottery just because he's written, I'm going to be a millionaire 10,000 times in his notebook. You've actually got to be out for all of those 10,000 days that you're writing in your notebook, working to becoming a millionaire. And then you might become a millionaire.
Yeah, and I think even if you don't become technically a millionaire, you get somewhat close to it. Again, there's a lot of solace in finding.
Yeah, you get further because you're actually like trying.
Yeah, you're still trying, and you're further than where you would have been if you hadn't even tried all those things. And that's why I think it's important to just like focus on the process, and eventually you will get to the goal. Because some people want followers, some people want viral fame overnight, especially with like things like TikTok and all these things blasting off right now. I feel like what we were talking about before, that sense of urgency to really just catch up. Like friends might feel like they're being left out, if another friend goes really big overnight, like, it's not really good for anyone's mental health to get
it's
fame overnight, isn't it?
Like fame is something that like most people that you see that kind of get that fame overnight, they kind of suffer for it when the adrenaline and the momentum goes down. I think it's better when you work towards it and it happens slower.
Well, it's like you said, you figured out like how to build a structure, and you've done that over time, so that there are less and less chances for you to keep taking steps back. Whereas like if you do get a lot of fame overnight, it's like, what do you do with all that?
What
How
do
do
you
you
do
find
with it?
which person do you speak to? Well, speaking to a person, like you said, takes time to build those relationships. How are you going to do it? I bet you it's just like, it's insane to even think about that kind of stuff. But the reason I like this gig, the photography gig, yeah, in some
Mm,
ways it does feel like there is urgency, but it's up to you to decide whether you want to jump into that fire and just like abuse it, or whether you just want to take it slow and, you know, build like the vision that you want. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. Um, I think that's really important. But some deep topics here, man. You
I
know.
think we're gonna clip some of those ones for sure. So let me ask you then, as we're gonna close out shortly. Best
Oh, dude, we
advice.
got to talk about the carousels, dude. We got to talk
Oh
about wait
yeah,
one
I
second. Hold
totally.
that horse.
I t-
Last podcast,
okay.
I told you I want to see some carousels. I want to
Okay,
see
okay.
some
Are we
more
going
kind of
there?
angles, and you started, dude. And you're popping off. You're always popping on the gram, dude.
Thank
But
you so much, man. I appreciate
you know,
it.
I see it's kind of gone up even more. You know, when we spoke last, how many followers did you have? You know, 33K.
Um, it was
You're doing the
something like
carousels
that.
now, and it's gone up a lot. You
Yeah.
know,
Do
you're
you know
doing
what?
people like it,
The
which
weird
just
thing
shows that
is,
like don't be
yeah.
scared to try something new because
Yeah,
sometimes it
and
pays off. You know.
I'll be guilty of admitting that for a long time, and even still now, you know, I still don't know sometimes how to break out of that comfort zone, because I find that a lot of my success is built off this niche, and I don't know how to. Well, not that I don't know how to. I do know how to, but now I realize it's a long game, and that's the kind of
I
stuff.
think I
But
think though that
the carousels definitely helped, and what you were saying last time, basically about, you know, when you start adding more pictures, it increased the ability for people to, you know, communicate, write better ideas.
engage and think
The
about it,
saves
and
went
also gives you
up, the
more to
shares went
show
up.
off.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And it's your range. And I realized, you know, a lot of the time I was doing that on my stories, but then I realized the difference between the reach on the stories compared to the actual posts is so dramatically like beyond each other. Like the feed posts get way
Mm,
more engagement. So it was foolish of me not to really show what I was capable of doing. And, you know, I started experimenting with video as well on the feed,
that was cool. I saw that. Some
and
cool
it's better
edits.
quality as well. Like the bit rate on the, I just only just figured this out, Alex, for anyone watching.
Mm.
I can't believe I didn't realize it. You go on your Instagram settings and you can tap an option for high bit rate video. Like
Huh. I have
I
to
didn't
check that
realize.
out. But
Yeah, I
dude,
didn't.
what you were saying about niche, and
Yeah,
you've been kind of in this niche for so long, and you kind of know what you've built, and you've built something out of it. The thing is, you're never going to know success outside of the niche if you never try away from the niche. You'll only ever know the
absolutely.
success that
Yeah,
you build inside the niche.
yeah. And I think
You know,
part of the reason I get less incentivized to try is because I keep seeing the success coming. Like I was saying to you before, you know, I'm booked up with brands that I'm shooting, and I'm thankfully
mm,
shooting the kind of brands I want to shoot now.
you want to do, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm working a lot with people like Sneak. I've got a new client, and people like Sneak give me absolute control over the creative like
Creative.
process. There's a
It gives
starting
you,
point.
you feel passionate about it.
Yeah, you should
I
see
think
their
that's so good.
brief. It's so fun. Yeah, they give this brief, and it's the graphic designer who designs it. It's hilarious. It's just like all this crazy stuff, and I'm like, and it's just like, right, is go do your thing, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna require a lot of budget. They're just like this dude. It's like, there you go,
Just
there
do
you go,
what's
and I'm
going
like,
on.
yeah, and I'm just like, all right, can I get like a retro thing? Can I get this? Can I get this side? They're just like, yeah, 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 go for
And
it.
they're
I'm like,
just
oh
on
my
it.
god.
That's
I'm like,
wicked,
here
dude.
it is. Like, here's the space I've been waiting for finally, you know. And
No, that's
you
really good.
know,
I'm happy for you, man.
yeah, and it's just a starting point, you know. What I want to do is work up to what you were saying. I want to build more of these clients, and thankfully I've got that big one there, and there's a few others that come
Mm,
like either bi-monthly or seasonally. But either way, the thing that I'm really grateful for is that I've got fulfillment in security right now. The next fulfillment I want is in more creativity, so it's expanding, taking risks with a lot of the client projects. I've
time to
got
take
like,
some risks, dude. Are you
yeah,
gonna
and
post some? You posted the close-ups and the mediums and the
yeah,
carousels.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm doing.
Would you break the wide shot feed?
Ooh, that's the next thing. This is the one thing I need to try out. I'm like,
I feel like the way I think of it in my head is goes from wide shot all one post. He starts posting the wide shots with the carousels, with the medium shots, and then he starts posting the details with the medium shots with maybe a couple wide shots.
So you're saying like
But
ease
then-
people into it, yeah.
But then I think you should start posting the kind of medium shots or the close-ups and alternating a little bit between the angles that you're posting, because I think that would add to the range even more. And then I think away from street style, I think you could do some really creative stuff in the studio. I know that you shot cool stuff.
Well, that's my next goal. That's my next goal.
I can imagine some of these shots in a studio with like a sky backdrop.
A set designer would be
some
so
real
sick,
interesting set design.
Yeah,
kind
absolutely.
of elevate you to that next point where
and there's no reason why I couldn't have it all.
Musicians want you for press shoots because your editing style would suit that creative direction so well if you start trying to think about the sets.
I feel like I'm getting like a nice portfolio review right now from like a professional in the industry.
That'll pop off, dude.
Yeah.
No, dude, I think like you know your stuff, but like I'm just thinking about it in my head. Like you could pop off so much in the editorial space if you kind of translate this.
It's something I've definitely thought about.
I would love this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the stuff that I've noticed about like them is like they do a lot of in-house studio work as well, and they probably don't do the lifestyle outdoor stuff as much, and it makes more sense because like you have a lot more control over it. There's just more creativity in designing the set, doing the stuff. Loads of brands are doing like that, so I think you're right. My next direction is studio is something I'm going to experiment with next, and I'm going to start inserting that in. I'm gonna start easing people into. I'm not trying to grill you or anything, by the way.
Well, I feel
look
so
at it.
About,
no. Look at it.
Your journey, bro.
Yeah, and likewise, Alex. I think I took your criticism, and it was filled with a lot of love. Last time, and it's done wonders. And it's speaking for itself, really. People are engaging with it.
Yeah, I'm not criticizing. I'm just making suggestions because I just see it in my head, dude. I see it happening in my head.
And
you see that shot in the middle right there with the balloons.
Yeah.
I can imagine that outside with a backdrop propped up, and it's a fake sky backdrop.
Yeah. These are concepts that I've got like
some green screen steps on the ground, and then you remove the green screen steps in post, and then you Photoshop the sky so it looks like he's floating against the sky backdrop holding the balloons.
Yeah,
but with that editing style, it'll pop off. That's stuff absolutely. That musicians want for promo and marketing campaigns, bro. That pops off.
Well, that was something I wanted to think about, like what you were saying before, like start catering a lot more to, because like I said, right now I'm very attracted to fashion brands, and I think I'm very comfy with the work I'm getting because it's like I enjoy it, it's paying the bills, and it's nice security. But like you said, like I think my flaw is, Alex, that I think sometimes I can get too comfy, you know what I mean? And it takes something like having this conversation to just let me reassess myself and think about where my next sort of
just challenge yourself, bro. Step out of the comfort zone because that's where the magic happens, bro.
Yeah, and I hope people realize that even when you are full-time creatives like us, it's absolutely normal to kind of get sometimes too invested by the success of your own sort of
but also
journey.
Like, when you're comfy, like comfort is something that's really hard to find as a creative. I don't live in comfort at all, bro. I live in like a state of like, unfortunately I live quite stressed. I wake up, I roll out of bed, I go onto WhatsApp, I do the work, I see what else is coming up. I don't know what else is coming up besides a few bookings pre-booked months in advance or something, and it just swaps in between. And I have to kind of go to clients, but like it's always different. I'm never like comfortable because I always feel real impulsive. I'm like, right, I've got to shoot this now. I've got to do this thing. Or I just shot this random thing that came up and now it's just made me question everything. And I'm just like super like, I just want to try everything and do everything I can. And I think as a freelancer, that can be like one of the things where once you do get comfortable, it's something that you haven't had for so long and you kind of crave it, that it just feels so good.
I think
comfort is quite a nice thing.
What do you do, Alex, to manage things like stress and anxiety? Like how do you deal with it? Everyone deals with it. I mean, I feel like I'm taking away a lot of information for you, so I'm quite interested in seeing like what do you do to?
I work more.
Yeah. Did you just outwork the stress?
Dude, when I was 16, 17, when I was 17, to like kind of balance the kind of withdrawal I had from these moments, like going to Ibiza or shooting this person or that person, and going to like Switzerland or this or that. And I'd have these big highs and I'd have these lows where then I'm doing like an hour-long influencer shoot every other day. I was like, I'm just gonna make a brand, and I did that whole brand, like I'm going to tie that we spoke about, and that was just my hobby, you know, because I'm just that person that's just like a hyperbole, you know. I just want to be doing stuff all the time, and then, you know, when I've done the work, it makes me feel good. There's nothing that makes me feel better, and you know, I do get downtime, and I do go and I hang out with some friends, but that whole time I'm there, I'm like, they're like, Alex, get off your phone. Because I'm looking at the video that I posted for the 200th time thinking what I should have done different, or I'm like, damn, I can't wait to post this on Instagram, or like, Iz just posted this banger. Oh my God.
No, I know what you're
I
talking
think
about.
What I should have done. And,
you know,
so for me, like, I don't, you know, how I relax, I play a little bit of FIFA at 3 a.m. when I finish editing.
Honestly,
and then, you know,
bro, let me just say,
that's me, dude.
Playing. I know I've got a new controller now since the last time we spoke. I've got a new PS5 controller.
Is that PS5?
But they just released it. Cosmic Red, people, check it out.
Wicked, dude.
Yeah, but
no, I am quite an avid gamer, but the kind of games that I like to play are like mega nerdy.
Yeah, well, you
like,
know,
I like games that require like my full brain power.
Sports games are really good for that kind of stuff, you know.
I like FIFA, but I also play like World of Warcraft, dude.
Oh, you really? I would not have thought about that.
I play it at like I wouldn't say a high level, but I'm doing like, I could ramble off a load of nerdy words.
I know about World of Warcraft and like RPG, because I'm not as much into World of Warcraft, but I love Final Fantasy and JRPG. I'm playing Final Fantasy.
I was thinking about playing Final Fantasy.
I'm playing Final Fantasy. I'm playing Final Fantasy 7 remake right now. I finished all of the Final Fantasy games. I want to play Final Fantasy 14 online. I know that's popping off right now.
That's what I'm thinking of trying out. I love those kind of games. That's kind of the downtime I'll have. But
escapism, essentially.
I just enjoy the thrill of like working and the hustle bustle culture and like what's next. Like I enjoy it. I like being busy. I like the feeling of like knowing that I'm like doing something that's like
something.
I don't mean that as like an advertising thing of like I want everyone to know how hard I work and how like amazing I am. I genuinely mean like I love that feeling of being busy.
Yeah, I do as well, honestly. There are some times where I feel guilty sometimes for playing video games, and I have to really just be like, yo, listen, I actually earned this time block to just play the game. I'm going to mute my notifications, and I'm going to do something different aside from work, because it gives subconsciously, I feel like your mind is just... You need
space to breathe sometimes.
Yeah.
You can't suffocate your kind of your inspiration muscle in your brain. You've got to give yourself time to breathe, come back to that kind of world, and
it's like if you're editing one image for too long. Yeah, if you're editing an image too long and it just starts to not look like what you want it to, you take a day off and you come back and you're like, oh, okay, now I see where I need to do this and that.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm like up late editing a video before, sometimes I'll render it off and I'll send it, but sometimes I'll be like, I don't know, I'm not going to send it right now. I'm going to sleep, look at it with a fresh pair of eyes in the morning, and then I'll sort it out. Sometimes you gotta give yourself like time like that, you know.
Yeah, and it could be any hobby, but just have something that you can momentarily, when you have like a creative block, creative stress too much to have, like all that kind of stuff, you just find somewhere you can like decompress. That's the word I was looking for. So find somewhere where you can decompress
and what's the word, like deassociate a little bit. I think my main issue with what I do and me is deassociating from the world of photography and business and all the stuff that I do. I'm so kind of like immersed in it that even when I'm doing something that's just completely not it's still in my mind and I'm still focused on that.
Yeah. Like notifications will ping off, things will happen. You got your little reminders that on your boards or your little checklist, and for me, it's learning to kind of step away from it a tiny bit, because it's not always healthy to be in that, Yeah, but because you sometimes forget, like we were talking about, like, your social skills are important. I still need to be able to speak to people within my family, give them time, give my partner time,
Yeah.
give, other people time, give all
Yeah.
these like, other areas of my life that I have commitments to time. It's sometimes I'll selfishly like, absorb myself into my work so much and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to like plug out the matrix momentarily, just like, whoa. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like just gotta keep a little bit of a balance, and also think that like even if you feel bad for like not working and going and like hanging out with friends, just tell yourself that you're working on your social skills for when you go meet a
Yeah.
client.
No, it's
That's all
true
you can
though.
say,
Yeah, it's
and
true.
you'll feel
It's
a little
true.
bit better about it.
Yeah, it's true. And I'll playing a game or watching a film. I've been doing that a lot. I've been going back to the cinemas, enjoying like just
I think that's great.
absorbing.
I think it's
Yeah,
great.
I love watching TV. I love watching especially like shows that really make your mind tick. And I've been listening to a lot of audio books and podcasts recently as well. Like
Oh, I
just
love
finding
podcasts, dude. I love
yeah, they're
podcasts.
so therapeutic, especially when you're editing. It's like killing two birds with one stone, right? You're increasing your knowledge and you're also editing
Mm,
and doing what you should always be doing. It's like, okay, my hands are busy, so I can't play a video game, but I can absorb entertainment. Or edutainment, like education that's entertaining, like all that kind of stuff.
yeah, I think when I'm like editing pictures, that's kind of my downtime in a weird way because I'll have like another screen where I'm watching a podcast or something.
Yeah,
So
always, dude,
I think
always.
that's like the best thing, dude. I love that. Like editing pictures and having something playing next to you, like that's just a good time to just get in the zone.
So let me
But yeah.
close out with these two questions then, Alex. What's
hmm
one thing you love about the industry?
I love just meeting new people and connecting with new people and building relationships because I've met just so many people that I used to kind of just see on TV or see on Instagram, and being able to actually meet those people and create stuff with them and create relationships is really amazing. So I definitely think that's really cool. And I'm quite aware of that now, where I'm thinking about the people that I can't wait to meet and work with. I think that's definitely one of the best things, and just taking a cool picture is just amazing. But yeah, meeting new people in the industry is definitely one.
What is one thing that could be improved in the industry?
Um, I think I think a lot of people just need to be, not a lot of people. I don't want to make a weird statement, but I think authenticity is just so important. I've realized that being a brand as a freelancer is very important. But I think it's also important to remember that whilst you are a brand, you're also a person. And when you're having those more personal conversations with people, or when you're actually trying to connect with people, to be able to actually just be a person. Because I've just chatted with some people and some creators, and it's just kind of like, are you talking to me? Or are you like talking to me as a photographer, or are
Are
you
you
talking to
talking
me
to
as a
Alex or
as
are you
a as
talking
a
to the
brand?
photographer or the
like
brand?
like
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
important to realize, that you still have to be a person, because I started realizing that lately. There's people that just hit me up when they want to talk about XYZ, and it's all industry related, or when I have a project out and they want to congrats and they want to like ask me about stuff. Like, I think what's really important with the industry in photography and between photographers is creating genuine relationships and being a genuine person away from the photography. And that's something I'm looking for more now. I'm just trying to connect with more photographers on a personal level. And then, photography is obviously there, but I think it's really important for a lot of us photographers to kind of focus on the real world away from it, and
Hmm.
just be authentic people. Definitely something that
That's
I'm working on, and I think is good to tell people.
Yeah, and hopefully these conversations can bring that to the table. And I think the long form conversation is going to be a great avenue for that. I think podcast has blown up since pandemic, and
Oh,
people
I love it. It's
people,
amazing.
yeah, honestly, I'd love a good podcast telling you now. And the audiobooks, I've literally just subscribed to Audible, and oh man, I'm
Oh
just
yeah.
tell you what is a good way, and if it's something you're capable of doing, cheat codes in audio listening. Go to YouTube times two speed and try listening to everything. Training your ear to like listen to information at times two speed or times 1.75. Around
Mm,
there is where is my sweet spot, around 1.75. I can understand everything. And a podcast that would
just
take me
absorb
about
it.
3 hours to listen, I did it in an hour and a half, and I'm like, oh my god, I understood every single word. And
Wow.
when I pushed it to two times, there were some things that were just like not as audible. I was like, oh, I'll knock it. But the time, they took me to listen to that book, oh my god, I was like, wow. absorb this whole piece of information in like half the time. And it would take me even longer to read it. You know, it's mental what people can do if they can just find life hacks to like engage in information. I hope people can change this podcast to like 1.75 speed and see what it's like.
And our pictures just go whoop.
Just like chit chatting like. So
yeah,
one
I
last
love podcast, man. Thanks for having me on, man.
Oh mate, it's been brilliant. And before you go, just in make it short and snappy. One I always ask people, because this is the meat and potato of the podcast. You know, everyone always wants to like go to this bit. One last piece of advice: how can new creatives get clients in the post-pandemic opening world that we're going to go into now?
Well, think about how everyone now is going to be in a rat race. Just be aware that there's going to be a lot of competition, because now, more than ever, everyone wants to shoot, but just as much as every other photographer wants to shoot, other people want shots. So just try and think about how you can make yourself different, how you can make yourself appealing, and how you can kind of make the process of meeting people and offering them something a lot quicker. You know, be concise with when you're talking to people, find what they need, fill the gaps that they don't have, and just try and find a niche very quickly and settle into it, and just kind of just kill it in that niche and in that little market that you build. And then, you know, if you settle into that whilst the rat race is happening, and you kind of solidify yourself whilst everyone else is running around, you'll be comfy, and then you can kind of expand later. I think that might be something.
Well, that's where that's something I learned, and that's my goal from this journey onwards, to expand. So thank you for joining us, everyone. Alex, it's been a pleasure. We'll see where you are again in another 6 months time, and maybe I'll be somewhere different as well in 6 months time. So take it easy, bro. Thank you so much for coming on. I learned a lot of knowledge, and I hope a lot of people did too.
Peace. Great to talk to you, bro.
You too, buddy.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Time Out. Don't forget to support each guest by checking out their work in the description. And you can also support the show with a like, subscribe, and hitting that notification bell. Till then, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one.